talk about that a little bit. I thought it was interesting that David Bean was escorted by my Uncle John Pottle, John K. Pottle, up north to go hunting at a certain point in their lives. And he took Eastman, David's brother, and David, and they went up to go hunting. And I think probably John K. Pottle had already married his Aroostook County sweetheart, Sarah Pottle, Sarah McManus, she was. So at that, David met Respa, and apparently Chet, no, it wasn't Chet. I guess it was just David. Eastman went with them, but he was already married to
All
yes, okay, I got it. And the Chases and the McManuses were related, so it was all kind of a happy hunting party, and they came home, I guess, eventually with wives. But so we had several Aroostook County ladies that ran into Otisfield men with a good result. Okay, I can't say a lot different about the bean store. Probably Ginny can help us more with that. Obviously, life got easier in terms of refrigeration and some of those sorts of things. And just to think about, we've got a picture. Oh, I forgot to show this. And
Oh, we must show that.
that's Ellsworth Scribner, and that he's coming to show people in town. I think it's a bobcat, isn't it? Yeah. And he's coming to show off his trophy. Now this is David Bean's time, I would think. I can't identify who the people are in the front of the store.
My father, and we think it was Nate Devine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Nate Devine was a person who was associated with the Great Oaks camp here. His son was a counselor, and Nate was there as well. The old car would tell you something about the time, probably. And here's the Bean family. You can't see real well, but what did I do? Right? Well, wait, that's even better. Okay, here's David and Respa, Virginia, and Norman. And here they are inside, and you can see the store was kind of a busy place. And for those of you who remember, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who don't, you walked in the door for most of this time. The counter changed after a fashion. For most of this time, if you walked in the front of the store here, there were shelves along the right-hand side, ceiling to floor type shelves with the groceries, cereal and all those sorts of things. On the opposite side, on the left-hand side, were counters. And I think the first one closest to the window was at one point in time for ice cream. And they scooped the ice cream out, yes. And then penny candy in the extension of that counter. And I don't know about Chester, but David was very generous. We three children, my sister and my brother and Robert and I, got a nickel one time each to go to the store. We could walk down and we could fuss over what candy we wanted. Did we want a root beer barrel for a penny, or did we want something else? So David would patiently wait for us to do our choosing, give it to us in a little bag, and then he'd give us back a nickel. And he'd say that we should save that for the next time. But we were encouraged at home to not do any next time. David was being very generous, and we shouldn't take advantage. And my sister Ann worked there for one summer. Yeah, and she remembers going in to help with meat. They sold hot dogs by the string and would cut meat and so forth. So by then the telephone reception area was gone.
That used to set back in that left-hand corner behind Normie's shoulder.
Yep, it was. What did?
The switchboard.
Yes, it was in that corner, right kind of at the end of the candy case.
Yeah,
And
right.
yeah,
And
that was kind of an L-shaped counter, wasn't it? Wasn't there a counter there or there?
Yep.
And then I remember at a certain point it moved out front by the front door, to the left of the door. So that changed a little bit over time. But after David Bean, many of these other, well, Connie Butler, who was there, I think she had a similar setup, and she was still probably selling somewhat similar things. as it moved on down to Norman and Judy and Calvin. Judy told me the other day that pretty much it was groceries and gas, that there wasn't a lot of, gone was the grain and the nails and the boots and the clothes. And basically, I think they carried seeds, beans for sure, and some of that, maybe corn and pea seeds, some of the bigger seeds. And, so it kind of evolved over time. And then by the time the Grants got there, the store was we were starting to have a lot more competition elsewhere. More of us had cars that were able to get somewhere. So I think all of these stores found a more difficult time. And the Grants, apparently, because of religious conviction, would not keep the store open on Sundays. They would not sell beer, because beer had been coming in for sale probably after Prohibition, I'm guessing. And some of that may have had an impact, but the store kind of dwindled down and then eventually just stopped being a store. And I'm not sure what actually happened at the property level, but it was done. So that's what I have to say. But tell me other things I missed about, we have a couple minutes, about the David Bean store.
You have time.
I got time? Okay. Ginny, what do you remember that I missed or you'd like to say?
Early on, I was the switchboard operator.
That was your
My
job.
heart would beat really hard when someone wanted to call New York.
Yeah, yeah.
That was not my best effort. Mostly it was just, I was helping in the store, putting up groceries or whatever. I waited on the counter sometimes, but mostly I just relieved my mother and father.
Yeah. What did Normie do?
I don't really remember. He used to beat me at checkers.
Was that the back of the store?
I'm sure he did many things. Later, he got to pick up groceries.
Yeah.
When I got my license, then I could go into Auburn and pick up fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was out of the store more than mom and dad. They had to stay there so many hours. I'm
Yeah.
sure you had the same problem.
I think one of the things I didn't mention is that I think all three of these stores, including maybe even Ellis Stone, had canned vegetables.
Yes.
Because we had canneries in Otisfield. And Harry Stone, LSR's son, had a cannery right in East Otisfield. So there were canned goods that were available, obviously frozen not. But,
I think within every 25 or 30 miles there was a cannery of every little town.
yeah, yeah. I remember planting beans for the cannery and getting to pick them. Yeah. No, Rita, do you remember anything particular that intrigued you or?
She was earlier.
Just about, right?
I remember we used to, my father used to harvest ice in the wintertime. We didn't have electricity, of course, and that's how we kept some of the winter vegetables. And we liked to go play in the ice house, and the summertime was nice and cool. But we weren't allowed to.
A little dangerous.
Yeah. Because, we would disarrange the sawdust and that would melt the ice if we did that.
Did you gather the ice on Thompson, Lake Thompson?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah. A lot of people harvested
Yeah,
ice.
we did. I remember, and I don't remember the ice house, but I remember hearing that there was one along the edge of the barn, and that they filled up and rotted out the sill that, held one side of the barn up. But, yeah, so that ice harvesting was very much and there was a big one on the way to Casco too, down on 121, a big ice house. I remember Dad going down there. Mary Ann?
So out of the owners of the bean and the lamb and whatever, did only family basically work at the stores?
Yes. My father was under the impression that if you got your family to work, that you made a go of it because you weren't paying outside people.
You have wages.
So he has 3 girls.
Yeah.
And we worked with telephone operators. He also was the Eastern States dealer for for grain.
Grain.
Came out of Springfield, Mass. And he had a covered truck and he had an open truck. And the grain would come to Oxford Station. And the fun thing for us to do would be to ride on top of the grain. And one of the hired men said he didn't like us and all our friends to do that someday the tire might come off or something. And we were in high school, and my father was coming back from Lewiston. He had the covered truck, and one of the tires was rolling ahead of us.
Yeah. So, good thing it wasn't the open load that you were on. Yeah.
Kelly, and the reason why I asked that is my husband thinks, well, knows that his uncles worked at a store in that location. So I'm not sure whether it was across the road. You said there was another little store, but there would have been the Baker boys, Lester, Freddie, or Ernie. No?
Would it have been before 1895?
Oh yeah. No. It would have been 19.
The only store that was, I think, existing in 1895 was the building we're talking about with these three, as far as we know.
Okay, this would have been in the early 30s, 19.
That would have been the store.
No one remembers a Baker?
In East Otisfield, that would
Yeah.
I don't know. My father also owned the farm, so he was,
Okay.
and it was a working farm up the Bean Road. So it might have been
Huh.
that
They might have worked at the farm.
worked at the farm and
Spent a lot of time at the store.
Yeah.
And speaking of farm, several of the stores, including, I think yours, they sold butter, homemade butter. Sarah Pottle made butter for the store. I think my dad and mother sold butter. The Nuttings sold butter. They sold milk. And egg, that kind of stuff, I assume, some of it locally. So, local sourcing isn't necessarily brand new. Brand new now all of a sudden. But any other comments or questions?
I just have one question. I remember the David Bean store from the early 1960s. I think they were still running it. And my husband and I and two little children were at Scribney Hill for the summer. And we were charging everything we bought. And this is quite a change, it seems to me. And it was very nice because John and Nellie Hankins picked up the tab at the end of the summer.
The struggling graduate students
We
signed.
did not charge our beer. We didn't dare.
That was nice of you.
It wasn't legal.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask, how people here, if a lot of people did not pay their charge accounts.
I read several things in the notes that you and Ethel took from various people talking about their respective stores, and they said that they made a living at the store, but nobody got rich. And there were issues with people building up a fairly good-sized bill and then disappearing, or just simply couldn't pay it, or all of those things that you can expect would happen. We weren't so good at collecting on things like that. Donnie?
Just a couple of comments. My mother used to trade eggs and butter with David Bean. That would go toward an account over there if we wanted a loaf of bread or something. And one of the kids would go over and do that.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things I remember was going over and getting 4 gallons of gas for $1.
Try it now.
19.9
I really think
gallons.
that's all my time I should take, and we have one more
I just have
person.
a
Yes,
question.
sorry.
Generally, what time of day would they open these stores, and what time do they close?
My father was usually up and in the store shortly after 5 in the morning. And it would be open some nights until after 8.
I think that changed a little bit to the end of the stores being, this store being there. That their hours diminished as the trade diminished a bit, which affected what,
one thing I'd like to say.
Yes.
You talked about the men being downstairs and being social. Well, on Friday nights, it was open house upstairs. The mothers and the children would be upstairs, and the mothers sitting in the kitchen, because my mother had worked all day in the store, and she'd be doing her work, and the kids would have the run of the house. And we also took piano lessons, and she allowed Mrs. Thurlow to teach at our house and not have to go around different places.
We took lessons from Mrs. Thurlow too. We had to go to her then. Donnie?
One other thing, when you mentioned ice houses, if I am not mistaken, you still got one right down there in East Otisfield.
Where is it? At your
Right
place?
behind Ron Demers barn. I-
Your old barn.
That's right.
Yeah. That's Donnie Vining, by the way, if you haven't seen Donnie for a while.
I'm pretty sure it's still there.
Yeah.
Because when the last few years I was there, we didn't use it for ice, of course, because we had the electric milk coolers.
Right.
But we did fill that right full of sawdust, so we'd have bedding for the cows right there handy. I
That's
can just
another,
remember my father, I think, taking the last cake of ice out of there, I think in 1946. I can just remember him washing that off before it went into the old milk cooler.
yeah. That's a little bit of Otisfield trivia too, was our farms. You know, we had a little farm, we had maybe 10 head of dairy cattle at the max. Donnie's family had a farm, Martin Wiley had a farm, the Beans had a big farm. And I don't know about the rest of you all, but when we sold milk to Oakhurst, and when they came around and said, you must have a glass line tank, you must do this, you must have that, small farmers with 10 cows couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah, Marty,
So that's when the beginning of the end for the dairy industry kind of started.
my father and Martin were the only two then that did that.
Yeah, they hung on, and they had those wonderful big Holsteins that give lots of milk. We had Jerseys that give you a quart, but it was awful good. Okay, is that the end of my pictures?
Thank you, Callie, yeah, you can quite finish, but that's the end of the story,
Oh,
obviously.
that's the old store in the end, where
At the
they
very
tore
end,
the addition
very
off.
end.
And the little house by the store is now the fire station.
It was
Okay,
the little.
Okay.
okay, keep going, okay, leave it right there.
I'm
Okay.
on. You're on.
Okay, I'm going to take over, and I'm going to take a start, and then John Silonen is going to fill in most of it, because he's lived it, and I just got it out of a book. Actually, I also got it out of Nancy Holman's 6th grade class, which made that wonderful report that Maureen read from. Boasters Mills had its store on this location, had it in different locations, but one time it had on the Harrison side, I believe, also. There may have been 2 stores there at once. I'm only going to talk about the Otisfield sign, pretty much. That's the Otisfield sign. And it looks an awful lot like it does now. You see I'll bring the picture forward in a minute. That store goes back to 1821 when Isaac Bolster, for whom Bolster's Mills is named, built a mill and a store. These guys were real entrepreneurs. They made a buck any way they could. Throughout, the store ran off and on, lots of different people throughout the 19th century. I'm not going to give you every name until I'm going to jump to the 20th century when Albert Shute opened a store there. His store closed in 1937. And Lawrence and Rose Spiller. These names start to become familiar. Some of you are related to these Spillers. I know Dorothy Lombard was a granddaughter, granddaughter of the Spillers, and this post office was in the store. After that, I've got 1946, Albert and Nellie Hamlin bought the store. And then followed by 1970. These are fairly long tenures, which makes me think the store did pretty well. If you could run the thing for 25 years, you probably were doing pretty well. I'm sure you remember some of these names. John, Albert and Nellie Hamlin, Ray and Rose Ames, James and Joe Judy Colburn in the 1980s. Then David Dale, 1983. He added pizza. Nobody's mentioned pizza up to now. And then beyond that, it started changing hands pretty fast. 1984, Margot's Fashions bought it. Which, advances. Okay, there's another, see, that is not, that looks very recognizable there. And that is, I think that 2005,